So it begins.
All the pain it cost me, and I won't regret if I never do it again. And I'm not afraid. And I just move on. Can't forget what is wrong with everything I regret. I could plagiarize myself yet again, but whatever happens, I won't forget where I came from, where I came Don't you forget where you came from.
Hello, everybody. Hi, how are you? I'm a little nervous because it's been a really, really crazy week. I've been trying to catch up with a lot of different things that have to do with touring and such, and so it's been difficult to get my mojo going on other things. But but anyway, I have a very different thing we're going to do tonight. Although later on I will take some calls or something. I think we will. I think we'll do that for sure because I like getting those. I think it actually helps. And we've been crazy enough to not have any crazies, so that's kind of cool. So, well, first of all, hi out there, Michael, Krista, Lorenita, Brian, Mai. Thank you for being here, Scott. Um, Cody, Max, welcome, all of you. Don't jinx it. I probably will. But anyway, what I'm going to play most of the night is going to be things that have happened or been written during the time of the stream, meaning songs that I kind of played, but then I didn't go back to. And I thought there was a lot less than there were. I actually found enough to do. If I were to just do the demos, I probably found enough to do, I don't know, an album and a half of just weird ideas, which is kind of funny. So it's going to be a lot of weird instrumentals, Well, actually, no instrumentals. I played the only instrumental in the beginning, which is just messing around. But anyway, I digress. Um, so the song that you heard first was during one of the first um, quarantine streams, as they were called in 2020, when we were under lockdown. And that particular track was, uh, if you recognize the melody, it's basically Living in Oblivion, but retooled and sort of made fun of in a funny way, in a interesting sort of way. But anyway, but the words do mean something. And that one was written in the park, um, while people were walking around with masks and stuff. And I was just alone in the park at a bench with my little laptop and using the built-in mic, just writing songs. So that one is an old one, and that's probably the one of the oldest ones that we'll play tonight. So if you missed it when it started, you'll have to watch it again. But it's one of those things. But anyway, besides that, I am going to preview a rough mix of one of the songs from the Up and Coming album, which is an old song redone, or I should say, recorded proper. So I'm going to play that too. And towards the end of the evening, the last half hour or so, I'm going to play an interview that I did with LIR, which used to be WLIR or WDRE, depending on, which part of that legacy you entered into. And it was an interesting little conversation. It was a little conversation, but it was fun for me because speaking to uh, the DJs from that era, especially a station that was very influential to my creativity, to be really honest. Um, to me, that was like magic. So the funny part, I've watched the video now and I just look nervous the entire time because I can't believe it's happening. So I'm actually more confident right now sitting here talking to you than I was at the moment that I was in the Zoom meeting, because it was so cool and so strange at the same time. And yeah, and even Mikey was there. So, we'll get to see that later too. But so anyway, topics are open. So you can ask me anything you want and I'll answer it. And although, obviously there's some newsworthy things to talk about that I do want to talk about. So I guess I will pull up. Do I have it? Uh-oh. I may have messed up yet again. But it happens all the time with me, doesn't it? Let's see. Let's see if this works. Yes. We are going to talk about these things. That we missed that from last week, which was I was going to talk about autonomic iteration, which is something interesting I want to talk about, which in a weird way, you just heard something that is that. And push 3, which is funny because every video on earth right now, if you're a musician, is about push 3. And no, I don't have one. No, I don't have one to demonstrate. But you got to know that I'm an Ableton head. And so I'm very, very excited about push and all that stuff. Oh, that jazzy stuff. Oh, man. We are not going to wind up sleeping in Penn Station or in your car next Saturday night. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine, Mikey. No matter what, we'll be fine. Mikey wants to know if I've booked my hotel yet for next week in New York. Which, by the way, I'm giving you the heads up right now that next week there will be no stream because I'm going to be on my way to Long Island. And indeed, I leave on Friday morning. So needless to say, I don't think there's going to be any sort of stream next Friday. But the show is on Saturday, on the 3rd. and that's going to be fun. And again, this is all the stuff that's going to lead up to it. Of course, I am very excited to go back east for a bit, um, and all that jazz. Yes, I know. I know. I know. I know. Mike is just bringing up the food, lasagna and pizza. I'm thinking of like, oh my God, what is sound check going to be like? I have to organize a set still. I have rehearsals this whole week. And I've been planning a bunch of different things because, of course, right after I come back from Long Island, I immediately have to get ready for Peru, San Francisco, and all this other stuff. So yeah, busy week coming up. So this week was like trying to play catch up to that upcoming week and failing miserably, I must say. So yeah. So but anyway, before I play the next track, um which is another one from the it's a strange thing that happens with this particular track. So I'm gonna give you the heads up. It's a little weird, but what I wanted to tell you is that oh, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna play a track, and then when we come back, we'll get into all the different topics and in whatnots because you're here with me on episode 18 of 2023 of whatever the heck this is. It's no longer the quarantine stream, but whatever it is, it is. And I'm going to try my best not to bore you with all of it. But anyway, but yes, I am going to San Francisco. Krista, yes. Yay, San Francisco. But yeah, so it's going to be awesome. Yeah, ooh, Tiger Swan on Facebook says, I wish you were coming to Boston too. I wish I was going to Boston. I've never played Boston. So that is something I would love to do. So anyway, my seat is too far down. Hold on, let me fix this. This is live. Always. Oh, yes. So anyway, thank you for being here. All of you that are here. I'm going to fix my mic too because I have done radio things and other sort of things that were going on in this studio, and the studio is in shambles. You can't see it, but it's quite a mess behind me. Like, seriously a mess. But all right, so let's play another one. So one caveat about all of these tracks that I'm going to play. I have edited some of them down because some of them were jams that were really long, so I don't want to like overdo it. So some of them have been cut down, and I did my best to kind of clean them up a little bit and make them sound nice. Some of these you can find on as videos because I have posted some of them as videos, but a lot of them you have not seen that way, and definitely not these versions. I have not played it. Wait, North Carolina? Is that North or South Carolina? Cody on YouTube is asking me if I have ever played Asheville, and I'm assuming, maybe incorrectly, that's isn't Asheville in North Carolina or South Carolina? Let me know. I'm not sure. Ah, Virginia. No, absolutely not. I would love to play Virginia. I think that would be fun. Um, it's going to sound really nerdy to say this, but I actually love the Waltons, and all the stuff takes place in Virginia. So it has a place in my heart if it is Virginia we're talking about. But anyway, I digress. Let's play the song. So, oh, the other caveat. I am not, or did not, research the songs enough to figure out when or where they were played during the quarantine streams. So it could have been all 3 years ago. It could have been 2 years ago. It could have been last year. It could have been last month. So all I can say is, you know. And Eric is asking me, what is LIR? Well, let me explain. LIR, even though Eric is from El Paso, and I'm sure there are a lot of El Pasoans out there. Think of it like this. You loved Club 101 in El Paso, as many, many people in El Paso love Club 101 because of the music they played. But if you actually looked at a radio station in El Paso that played the same kind of music or the same mixes that you would get at a Club 101, it just wasn't there. And in fact, in many places that I've been to, although they were great, what I would call new music, new wave clubs, where where you could hear the music, the radio stations were not playing electronic pop of any kind. They weren't doing it. Not in the way that WLIR was. WLIR was where I first heard New Order. WLIR was when I first heard Black Celebration as a new album coming out that you had to go out and get, that day. Pet Shop Boys, new OMD albums, everything that I ever loved, I first heard on WLIR. And there is a WLIR documentary that was on Showtime. Yes, I believe so, Mikey. And then WLIR switched into WDRE, which was good. It was still, it was a little deviation from the format, but it was still a great station. But the most amazing thing that happened during that time was that I was growing up listening to that station and knowing that that was where I wanted to be. So it meant a lot to me to be on that station. And so it meant a lot to me, even now, all these years later, to do an interview with LIR, which is an online version of that station with all the DJs from the old station, both DRE and LIR, which is amazing. So I agree with you, Spencer, on that one. 94.5 became a little more corporate, but still it was good though. It was still good compared to everything else that was out there. It was so good. I miss it. The only equivalent to that station in California, by the way, I know some people are going to say K-Rock, and it's not. And I'm sorry to say that it's not K-Rock. I do love K-Rock, but it's not the same. The closest that we came in California to WLIR was actually Indie 103.4. That was amazing. And that is a station that I loved during the 2000s. Unfortunately, it did not stick around. But anyway, this song that I'm going to play is called All Your Secrets. And it used to be a freebie on the ABOX site a long time ago. You could poke around the site and you'd find it. However, during one of the Quarren streams, I added synths to it and I played it in a completely different context for one of the Quarren streams. I liked the recording so much that I cleaned it up, and that's what I'm going to play. So I'm going to turn on the overhead and All Your Secrets.
All your secrets lying in bed. All my dreams are falling out. And you used to lose your sleep. Maybe you should consider it. Lost to keep. Wrote about the teardrop collector. Wrote about the path of the future. You can see it through my eyes. Maybe the world is moving on.
short little one. Um, by the way, eventually I'm going to release all this stuff. I have to because I was trying to like. There's a lot of soul searching been going on this week, um, but um, but anyway, I guess the short version of it is that I started to catalog everything that I've written since 2020 and also stuff that was I was working on like pre 2020, which is like 2019, 2018. And I realized that even if, and this is not a joke, even if I took 24/7 to just work on the tracks to properly record them and release them, it would probably take me about 10 to 20 years to do it because during 2020 alone, I wrote about 45 songs. And then there's the songs that people want me to re record. Then there's the demos of songs that people want me to record. Then there's the songs that are new that keep coming. And so I always teeter totter. And then, of course, uh, taking about, what was it now, 4 to 5 months off just to work on the Hope book. And so there are things that I just cannot, I will not be able to find time to do them all and tour and work on art and books and so forth. So some of these things I think about it and I don't know, maybe it's narcissistic. So you tell me if you think this is a narcissistic thought, but my thinking is if I were to pass, then the non-cleaned up versions and the pieces that are sitting around on hard drives would be unedited, uncleaned, totally done in ways that I would never want to hear them, or even close. And that would be a shame. So I thought, well, so the best thing to do is to get all of it out there. If I later on decide, oh, you know that song that I released last year, I'm going to work on it and release it proper, that's a different story. But at least knowing that these are out in their whatever state they're in will make me feel better that at least I worked on them. So yeah, I was cataloging quite a bit, and it was. Cody says, "Sheesh, that sounds overwhelming." It was almost disheartening, but then again, I have to say, like, I'm a lucky human being that at least there's no better way to say it. At least the shit's coming to me, right? Like I close my eyes, there's a song. So that's good. I can't say that that's a bad thing. Whether they're great or not, I don't care. It's not about like, do I think they're all fantastic and all of them need to be recorded? No, of course not. But there are a few that, hold special places in my heart. And I'm like, well, why don't I get around to that one? So I have to kind of, work that out with my psyche. It's like, this is new and I'm really into it. But here's this one song among 45 songs that really should be recorded, or at least in some form, somebody should hear it. And then what if I want to play it? Like, if I play it and nobody knows it or has even access to it, then they're never going to know it exists. So at least my perspective is let's start releasing this stuff. So yeah, so when the album comes out, um I'm going to it's going to be augmented by a bunch of mini releases like that of just stuff like this. Just weird stuff like this. Some of it will have beats, some of it will be really weird out there. Some of it will be little curated bits of acoustic only, whatever it is, right? And Cody once again says it's not a bad perspective to have about it. Krista agrees. It's not, it's your art. It doesn't sound narcissistic. Constantino just says hola. And Cody adds, although on the flip side, you could argue that being so much of a perfectionist toward it could hold you back as well. That's true. But again, some of these are things that I recorded in parks or just sitting at my table, and so someone would say they're definitely not ready for prime time. And that's okay. I don't mind that as much. I'm not as attached to them in that sense. But, it happens. So, another thing that prompted this thing is that, of course, I have shows coming up. So, that's a big deal. So, I have shows coming up. And I took some time off on Thursday and I went to go see The Cure at the Hollywood Bowl. That was awesome. They were great. Um, and I noticed that they played mostly, aside from a few like must have hits, they really played oddball B-sides and instrumentals. I found that really odd. It was like, it almost, at first, I was put off by it because I thought, I don't know this particular song or I don't know where this is from because obviously The Cure has a deep catalog too. So I don't know every B-side that's ever been recorded by The Cure. So it was strange to listen to all this odd material. And he would say, like, Robert would say, hey, this song, I think it's been 40 years since we played it. It's a B-side on something or other. And then he would play it and I would be like, wow, where did that come from? And obviously he risked that. It's a risk because they were playing in front of 18,000 people. And let me tell you, and I'm going to be honest here, whenever they played a song that everyone knew, everyone would stand up. There would be screaming and, yelling like, oh my God, obviously. When they played one of these obscure B-sides, you could hear people talking. You could literally hear crickets because there was a lot of people who didn't know what this was. So I think that that's kind of cool. I mean, they played 6 different ways. That's a really crazy old B-side. So yeah, so that was fun. Um, so yeah, if you're seeing The Cure, this tour, be prepared because it's strange. It's a strange one, and I love it though. It wasn't a hits thing, and so of course that gave me a bit of, I don't know, courage to like just expand a little bit because I don't have to worry about that kind of level that they're at the moment. So why do I worry so much about these oddball bits that I am not sure what people think about them? So yes, they did play Shake Dog Shake and Banana Fish Bones. So that was pretty crazy, man. So thank you, Mai. Yes, they did play Shake Dog Shake at the Hollywood Bowl and Banana Fish Bones. And although my seats weren't great and the sound from my side weren't great, I got to see a video of it where it really, really sounded good. So, oh man, Krista says, I hope they play A Strange Day. They didn't on this particular one that I was at. And I was waiting for that one because that's one of my favorite Cure songs. There you go. So, yes, they played It's Friday, I'm in Love, but it sounded like they were making fun of it in a weird, funny way. That was strange too. But anyway, I really enjoyed it and it made me want to come back home and work on my sets, so that's, basically what I'm going to do. After this stream is done, I have 2 nice days of leisure and then come Monday, it's 3-hour rehearsals every day to get ready for New York. Although I feel ready, but it's just going to be like more, oh, wow. Carlos says they did play A Strange Day yesterday. Darn it. I almost went. But anyway, I digress. So I'm going to play one that was more recent. This one was done as an experiment. I was experimenting before the show started, before one of the streams started. And I was live circuit bending my phone and my voice while basically singing and playing. But what was odd about it is that right before the stream started, whatever it was I was circuit bending started turning rhythmic and it became a sort of rhythm. And so right before the stream started, I dug out an old notebook, found some lyrics that, for whatever reason, fit it perfectly. Well, almost perfectly, because I wound up rewriting them, and they brought back a memory that I had. And I'm going to share the memory uh, because I think, well, it's for posterity's sake. But if you know certain songs like Carmen and whatnot, or Just One Day, you know that there's stories. They are stories. Like, you can apply your own thing to them, but they basically tell a story. There's a someone or a girl or, somebody. There's a character. In this one, there's a character. It's me. When I was a kid, I witnessed a factory fire, and I wanted to be able to see above most people to see what I was actually looking at, which was the fire engines trying to put out the fire. And somebody, for whatever reason, put me on a crate so that I could be tall enough to see. And then there was an explosion, and something in the factory exploded, which sent debris everywhere, and everyone went running, but they left me there on the crate. So I was literally, I have a memory of it, like standing there on this crate, just watching an explosion. And so I thought years later I would set that to a song at some point. So I wrote down some words. And another life experience that I've had is that I drowned once. And so these were two significant events in my life that I decided I'm going to set them into a story sooner or later. And that day came and I did it, although it's a very strange song. And it may not have anything to do with my memories now, but it is what it is. So I'm going to play that next. And then I don't know what I'll do. We'll figure it out. I'll turn visuals on for this one. I think it needs it. But no more fear.
Yes, I remember a day so long behind me in another life. Stood on a wooden box, saw an explosion, felt an explosion. Ooh. Yes, I remember a place, jumping in a lake. I thought I could swim, instead I drowned and learned a powerful lesson. Powerful lesson. No more fear. 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 It's an illusion. It's an illusion.
It's a funny song. No more fear. Uh, the funny thing was, it wasn't all worked out. It was just that I had written it on the spot basically before the stream started. But I kept going back to it, like thinking, if I have to go back to record this thing, how am I going to do that since I don't know how I made the rhythmic thing happen in the first place? Because it was completely random. But at least I know what the melody is, so I could probably recreate that part. But or have to resample it, which is interesting, and it leads into this particular thing that I love. So anyway, so no more fear. But so this week, while I was working on stuff and out to see The Cure and, trying to work out all the stuff. Thank you. Thank you for those compliments. Um, so as I was working on like set things and I'm trying to get all the stuff because the book stuff isn't done yet. Book's on its way, by the way. So I'm going to side address something. So yes, book is on its way. It should arrive on time. Uh, because I get daily reports of everything, where everything is, both the disc and the book, which I need both to actually send out stuff, are due to arrive between the 9th and the 14th. So we're so far, we're perfectly on time, which makes me happy. But I had to go buy packaging materials and all the stuff you don't want to hear because it's stupid stuff anyway. But and I have some surprises for you. But anyway, but all that stuff is the stuff I was taking care of this week, so I didn't even have time. And then, of course, my internet goes out on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? I think it was Wednesday. Um, yeah, because yesterday was Thursday. So my internet went out on Wednesday. Literally, we couldn't like be online for more than 5 minutes before something would crash, and it took us the entire day to figure it out. By the way, so what was funny about this incident was that it was on that day that a standalone version of Ableton came out. Standalone, meaning that it's in a piece of hardware. I can now run Ableton and sit on my couch and make beats without a computer, or go back to the park and make beats without a computer on a piece of hardware that is basically Ableton all the way through, and then come home, dump it into my studio and just keep working. So for me, that is an amazing thing. Definitely that's gonna be somewhere in my arsenal soon. Because I'm a big Ableton freak. And the other thing that came out is that with that came an update, which was Ableton 11, 11.3 to be exact, which has a new synth in it that I love. I absolutely love this thing. So I am stoked. It's been a good week for software, hardware, and yet I can't take advantage of any of it because I know myself. If I were to get it now, then the show next week would go to shit because I would be 24/7 in it and not want to leave it. So I think that's so funny. That's funny, Krista. Tell him I said hi. Um, so yeah, so basically I can't have Ableton either upgraded or push or any of those things until I'm done with touring. So it's going to be a while before I actually get it. But I'm just excited because I know that those are certain things that will, no pun intended, push me back into getting some of these old demos done, because then I'll have stuff to work on, so it'll be like, oh, maybe I could. So yeah, so that's one of those things where I was stoked that stuff is out. So obviously made me happy, and not gonna put too much of a finer point on it, but I was dreaming of this device, like literally dreaming of this device. I was close to buying a Machine Plus for the nerds out there, because I thought, well, if I get a Machine Plus, then I have a standalone machine. And believe me, I thought about it. But, and Greg Hubgood says, that's Vic20, by the way, you can also have Logic X on an iPad now. I know. All these crazy things. Technology-wise, this has been a good week for technology, let me tell you. So anyway, I'm excited about those things. And obviously that... Yay! That's awesome. So I was recommended and I hit the algorithm. Yes! Whatever I did, good! Which means, of course, that I should probably show this window. No, it's not even there. I can't even see it. What happened to it? Oh, that's funny. It's gone. It is gone. It looks like it's gone. Oh, there it is. So yeah, if you're joining, you should do what that says, because it's good. we're getting there. I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers, and we're so close. But anyway, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun ride. Um, Going to New York, trying out new things, and this goes back to the Cure thing. I was watching. Well, maybe I shouldn't tell you this. Well, mm, I'm giving away a lot of my personality by telling you this story, but okay, here we go. I do have a competitive nature. So when I go see other bands, I always watch, even if it's genre different, I just watch what do they do that I like? What are they doing that's really good versus what's not happening? What are they using to their full advantage? What aren't they? And it's just a symptom of being, you know, a pro. You just have to go and look and see what other pros are doing. Go like, oh my god, I got to do that, or oh my god, I can't believe they did that. I'm never gonna do that. You know, that kind of thing. So I was watching the Cure's visuals, and I realized we're not that far off the mark in the way that we approach them, but it made me want to rework some of the visuals and things. So I definitely want to do that. I know that I'm not going to have enough time to rework them for, like, let's say New York, but um, I have a device that I've been kind of putting off using because of the learning curve, and which is another reason why I'm going to hold off on the whole labels and thing. I've decided that I'm going to rework certain aspects of the show so that I have better visuals and get more, for lack of a better word, trigger happy with them. So I'm going to try to dig this device out of the cobwebs, and that's what's going to happen. But anyway, yeah, but I got that from watching The Cure, and that's kind of why I sometimes go to concerts. Although, like I said, if I was still working on the book, I probably wouldn't have gone to the concert. This is how that works with me. But thankfully, since that part was done, I kind of gave myself a little permission. Cody says, "Do you mean stuff cast from a projector?" No, not necessarily. I do that anyway, but I was thinking of more triggered video effects. I want certain things that interact with me on stage, which you know, so that's the kind of stuff I'm looking into. But I've been studying it, but I just never got around to it. I have software, I have a lot of different things to do it with, but I haven't had time. And this is what's funny about all these different things that happen, is that I don't have time to do everything I want to do, and I have to kind of be aware of that. So I'm gonna play a song, another B-side type thingy or whatever it is. This one was more recent. This is a 2023-ish or very late 2022. One of the two. I can't remember now. But this one has I can speak, I swear. This one has a specific tie to some art that I've been working on, and so ties into future material. And it ties into one of the topics I'm going to bring up about iterations. And this particular track, um, quite honestly, the sound design came from the way that I was working on an art piece. And I know that sounds really weird because it's not something that you're used to hearing someone say, but I wanted to do something. Well, I'm going to explain it. I think I'll explain that first. So, for example, this is called a physical layer of piece. In other words, these are pieces that are going to be for something, but they're not anything now. And I will turn on the color camera, although it doesn't have a lot of color in it, but it'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So that would be a bottom section. This would be a midsection. Yes, it's drawn on both sides and painted, and all kinds of weird chemically processes are taking place. And the idea is you take something else that you've painted, like so, And what happens is when I put this on top, it's like physical Photoshop. It's like collaging. But the difference is I swap them out. There could be something on the other side, and then I add to it, or I turn it over and I add to it. And these are weird iterations of paintings that I've been doing. And they're for a project, which I'm going to talk about. They're for a project that I'm working on. And that has a lot to do with the new record. So what was happening is I was thinking of a sound that could switch from one thing to another while I'm playing. And I don't mean like a sample layer or something like that. I meant, can I do something so that when I initiate a controller or a wheel, that the sound itself changes so radically that it has a completely different sound than from layer one. And it's sort of like dealing with that sort of mentality. So I was thinking one sound turns into two, and then I'll sing. And so that was the idea. And nothing came. I tried and nothing happened. And then one evening at the stream, right before the stream started, 10 minutes, I got the song. I understood where it was going, played it, and I thought, I'm going to play it or play a version of it when kind of like a distortion pedal, Tim says. Very close. You are right. You're actually closer than you think. So I decided that I would do the same thing. I would take a song and start with something that sounds more acoustic-y, but by making a simple change, I could gradually bring in all this crazy stuff. And it would evoke the mood of something like that, where it's dark and, or even that, these are hard to see on screen, by the way. I know that. But I'm going to talk about them in a minute, but I'm going to play the track. It's called Inside, Outside, and overhead, and I'll just play the song now. Every thought is filtered through a lens from a camera that no one can see. I can feel its inner parts churning out machines. We have to defeat this. Inside, outside, what will it matter when all these forces come down? Inside, outside,
Will it matter if we passively agree to do nothing? If we choose to do nothing.
You can hear all the dirt and grime in there. I actually touched it up very little. It's just one sound basically doing its job. And luckily, I saved this bit so I can go back and redo it at some point. But but I was quite happy with it at the time. And what amazes me is not so much the song or whatever it is. It's not that. What amazes me is that I got to do it seconds before the stream started, and that's why I liked it. It was like, I can't believe I got something out of it before going live. This is like a scary thing. You have to realize how scary that is. Like you're in the middle of just jamming and then it's time to go on and you're like, but I have something. Um Greg says, "Was that a shimmer reverb?" In fact, it is not. What it is an old technique that I used to use a long time ago, quite by accident, which is driving the end of one reverb into another and overdriving it on purpose. So all the dirt comes from literally sending more signal from one reverb into another, and the second reverb has a not a fractal, uh, but more like a fractalized delay added to it, so that it creates that pitched up thing. So it's a weird form of shimmer verb without actually using a shimmer verb. But it's one sound, basically. One sound using two knobs to control everything. One was doing filters, and the other was the wheel, basically changing about 10 different parameters on the one sound, including the effects. So that when I raised the wheel, it would turn into the cinematic thing. When I lowered the wheel, it would turn into the staccato sound. So anyway, it was just, techie stuff there, but it's where the idea came from. So that leads me to this art thing. So, I'm into Tezos. I do Tezos stuff. One of the things that I've been getting into, or I like collecting, I should say, is effects hash stuff. And effects hash, I find really interesting. And this project that I have in my hand was originally supposed to be an effects hash project. What does that mean? So in an effects hash, what the artist does is you set up all the parameters, like there's going to be 6 different backgrounds. They can be changed. That background will work with these other 6 backgrounds that are the next layer. And then there's going to be characters on the next layer, and then maybe clouds on the third, and so forth. And it just keeps going up. The idea is when someone goes to create an iteration of the NFT, it randomly picks between all the different backgrounds and the different characters and generates one very unique combination. So I was trying this. I kind of liked it. However, there was something about it that struck me, which is it's an automated process. So I'm leaving the computer to do the bulk of it. Um, Even though setting up the layers and doing all the coding and all that stuff, I know this is like really weird, nerdy tech talk, but oh, it's happening. So um, I decided that I wanted to do a project where each person mints it, but I'm the person that does the iterations. I take them. I psychologically mess with my own head to come up with an iteration, and then that iteration is that person's, and no one else gets it, just that person. And then I do it again. And so the idea is I will do what the computer's doing, um, and see if I can get away with not repeating myself. And so when all is said and done, we should have paintings that do not um, that you're not likely to get the same one because I purposely wouldn't let it. Whereas the computer, for the amount of iterations that you get, there is a repeat every so often. I've seen it when I'm in effects hash and I say, "Hey, make me another copy," and I'm like, "Hey, I saw that one already." So this is one of those situations where I'm in control of what I can do, and it would have to be done in a way that, for example, uh, for lack of a better word, incentive for you to have it, right? So anyway, I'm working it out. It's going to be something that's going to be like part of the new record for sure. And part of its book. So there are some crazy things that I'm doing with this stuff, but I thought I would show you some iterations of weird things because they started off innocent enough. So this one was already put together. So that's literally 3 magazines to make that. And this is missing the top layers. The top layers, of course, are going to be colors or characters or oddball things. And in the back, you can even see where I taped it. So this is one, but then, you have stuff like this, or is it like this? And then depending on how you see it, right, things change. And I don't want the software to do it. I want to do it. I want to be the person manipulating the different layers. And so, on purpose to mess with my own head, I worked on both sides. So, it's something I've been doing on and off for a year, actually. And so, it is a bit odd, but it is something I'm working on that has a lot to do with the new album and its book, which is very different than what I did with Hope, because Hope involved going back to a certain time period and, finding art of that period. Whereas this is something that I get to do right now that has to do with what I'm working on, which is, important on that level. So, anyway, so since we've come up on the hour, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to play the interview that I did with LIR, and I'm just going to let that go, and gives me a little bit of a break, actually. And what's going to happen is I will definitely be on the chat. You'll get to watch it, and then I'll come back, and then we'll end off with the last bits. I still have a couple things to play, so let's set that up and see if we can get it going, and then you'll understand like where all this is going. Because they asked me a question about it and I almost answered it wrong, I must say. Like I said, I was nervous. But anyway, let's turn on the interview and let's hear it.
It's the world famous LIR.com. It's Andre, and I'm really excited about our next guest here. Wow. Say hello to Claude from Anything Box.
How are you folks?
And Mike is there as well. Now,
Hi
Mike
guys.
was a former member of Anything Box, right? Was he in the actual band?
Yeah, a long time ago. In back in '86 when we were actually listening to WIR and
Yeah,
WDRE and all that.
yeah,
So
that's right.
yeah.
Yeah, 92.7 for sure. I got to tell you, and not to drift too far off here, but Living in Oblivion is still one of my biggest records that I play when I spin all these new wave clubs on Long Island and in other spots that I've spun before. But it's still a timeless, it will forever be a timeless record. And I think you know the story. The last day I was on LIR, it was the last day 92.7 existed for the LIR, WLIR frequency. And it was one of the final songs I played on the air that day. So it was a special time or a very emotional day for me. And I was looking for like certain songs to play. And I really didn't overly prepare for the day, but I went to the wall with all the CDs. We had CDs back then. And there it was. I go into letter A first. I'm like, Anything Box, Living in Oblivion. Perfect. I need that one in particular. But I've been a fan of you guys and your sound for a long time. I mean, I love many records, Jubilation, This Thing Called Life, Carmen, Every Single Day. There's so many good ones. My cousin Rob, who you'll see that night, he's one of the DJs along with DJ Caesar, Rob Crush. He's a huge Anything Box fan. He knows the entire category, and he knows you guys like in and out. He's gonna really be excited about
That's
doing
so
this
awesome.
promotion. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a big night. We're looking forward to you guys finally coming to Long Island, June 3rd at the Avenue, formerly known as G's Club. And you guys haven't been to Long Island in a while, right?
Yeah, it's been a very long time. But before I get into that, I want to mention
Yeah.
something about your story. So
Okay.
a couple years ago, I was able to I don't remember how I got to it, but I was able to hear the last 2 hours of, you know,
92.7.
WLIR, DRE,
Yeah.
and I heard it and it just, I swear, it brought me to tears because
Yeah.
I have to tell you that WLIR and of course DRE when it,
Yeah.
turned, I get
Sure.
it. But LIR specifically, when I was a kid
Gotcha.
wanting to do this stuff, that was my marker of that's the station that I need to be on. That's the one I want.
Yeah.
No Kiss FM, no, no, that's the stuff I make. And that's the station. So that
Gotcha.
was my marker. So you have to understand that that was the first station that I ever wanted to be on the radio.
See, I really thought the brand of new wave that was coming out and electronic music in the late 80s was really, really good. It was really coming into play, I think,
Absolutely.
because you had
Absolutely.
like, Depeche Mode was putting out Violator, New Order had Technique, Erasure was putting out big records, Pet Shop Boys. It was really peaking a lot of that stuff. And there you guys were. I put you guys in that, like, Information Society, Zymox, Anything Box, Concan, all that fun, like new wave synth pop stuff, Red Flag, bands like that. And there you guys had this amazing record, amazing album. I always thought your sound was pretty similar to Erasure somewhat. Would you agree or disagree? Is that an influence, Erasure, Vince Clarke, any of
I
them?
would say that definitely anyone who does, any sort of electronic pop who says, they're not influenced by Depeche Mode or Erasure in some way is grossly lying, right? So I'm not going to say no.
Right.
But definitely Vince Clarke was a definite
Yeah.
influence, especially like the Speak and Spell days and all that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Those are
Right.
the main records I think from those two bands that I really
Yeah.
liked was Speak and Spell, Some Great Reward, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
100%.
definitely had an influence.
And definitely Yaz, too, I would think, as well.
Absolutely.
How about
Absolutely.
Bronski Beat?
By then, I think by the time we were on the second record, we started to like really find our own thing, like where
Yeah.
we were like comfortable where we are. Like now, I wouldn't compare me to anybody, but back then, I could say the first record definitely had its influences on its sleeve.
Yeah. Now, where did you grow up, for the people that don't know?
Well, I was born in Argentina.
Wow. Okay.
Most people don't know that, but I was born in
Yeah.
Argentina and I immigrated to the United States when I was 6 years old, and I lived in Patterson, New Jersey for most of
Wow.
my
Amazing.
life.
Right
So
off of Route 80 over there.
that's right.
I'm a
Garrett
traffic
Mountain, the
reporter also,
castle.
so I know
Absolutely.
the road's pretty good up there. But that's an amazing story. Now I heard that you guys actually still tour in like Argentina or South America and Mexico. And do you go to like
Abs-
Asia as well?
I've never been to Asia.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the funny story there is that I was planning to do like a whole international thing, and it was sort of happening
Yeah.
right before the pandemic, of course.
Gotcha. I figured you were
Killed
going to say
all
that. Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I am returning to South America, and I have been back to Mexico City this year. So, it's kind of cool. It's
Amazing.
it's nice to go.
And I heard when you play these venues all over the world and especially in South America, like the response is like through the roof.
It's awesome. I love it. Some of it's
Now, for
generational too, which is really cool.
right, and that's what I was going to say. Like, your music is still it's pop, but it's underground. It's not mass appeal like top 40, obviously. But so you have to really be a fan of this music to really go out there and like venture and look for it. It doesn't just come to you naturally. You really have to be a fan of this style and sound to really dig in deep and find a record like an Anything Box record. So the fact that you guys are still playing all over the place, different countries, and having a great response is really telling. That's an amazing thing. So congratulations on
Yeah.
that.
Thank you for that. I feel really grateful, first of all, for all the fans because they kept us going. It's a funny story for you, though. I'm going to tell you a funny living in oblivion story, which is hilarious to me. But
Great.
when the first video iPod came out, Living in Oblivion was one of the first videos that came on the thing itself,
Amazing.
which caused a weird resurgence. And then like all throughout the what we call the MP3 years, when everybody was like worried about downloads and whatnot,
Right.
we were
The
like
whole
the
Napster
happiest
thing.
people
Yeah.
on earth because we were like giving stuff away.
Copy.
So we were doing that sort of thing before it was fashionable to do it.
Gotcha.
So that's what kept us alive, I think.
Yeah, it's funny too because there's a new wave series of CDs that came out that are called "Living in Oblivion," and there's like five
Right?
different five different series on that. We're here
No,
with
no
Claude.
royalties from that.
No royalties. Wow. We're here with Claude of Anything Box. They are coming to Long Island. This is a big deal. I cannot wait to see you. I heard your show is very synth driven, and we love synthesizers and electronics. That's my favorite type of music. The New Orders, the Pet Shop Boys. It
It's
has a
strange, but
keyboard
it's cool.
going. Yeah, Gary Newman was just in town recently too. I'm sure
That's so
he's somewhat of an
awesome.
influence for you as well. I mean, we are really looking forward to you coming to Long Island. It's June 3rd at the Avenue in West Hempstead. We do a lot of promotions there, a lot of appearances, and it's a great little venue with a stage and a good sound system. So we're going to have a big, big night, and we're really looking forward to you guys coming. Z Tickets, I believe, that's how you can get these tickets. There'll also be tickets available the night of the show, but I think you want to get them ahead of time. You save a few bucks if you do that. And it's just going to be an incredible time to have you guys come to Long Island and play this music. And we've been longing for it for a long time. And
Thank you so much
really,
for that. Thank you.
yeah, you got some new stuff out too. There's a new single called Dead Stars. Is that true?
That's right. Yeah. Well, we resurfaced in 2020 with a 12-inch, which was interesting. It was like a collab between Mike and I as a label. Like he wanted to start a label, and I was like, I have a project, and then we figured out a way to do it. And it's again one of those things that we're trying to be ahead of the curve. Dead Stars actually has NFTs in it, and so I'm very big into the Web3 stuff. So again, forward thinking, like let's do a 12-inch that lives on the blockchain. Let's try
Very cool.
something odd.
Gotcha. Now, what would you say? Well, how would you describe your sound today as opposed to your sound in the late '80s and mid '90s?
Um,
Has it
well,
changed?
I know that Mike would probably agree with me on this one, but we were far more experimental before our first record came out. I would say that our first record is, the direct product of like you're signed to a major and they're going to pick all the hits. They're not going to pick anything that's a little bit off kilter. You know what I mean? They're not going to do anything like that.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't until our second record and consequently our third, where we started to really branch out into different territories, you know. So I think we're actually closer to our original sound now
Yes. Yeah, I
than,
think so too.
you
The
know.
earlier days, it was more of we had more, definitely more of the goth influence. Our home club was a Pipeline in Newark, which
What was a
fantastic
goth
place. It
club?
was like home, and it was very dark, gothic, industrial stuff too. But we
Cool.
still had the pop edge, but we were doing a lot of different things like then. We Claude did sampling, but using a reel to reel, and we just in a radio, we just let it play and record, and we used a lot of that for like intro to the shows, and also as well. You hear some of that, especially on the original demo. There's one track that is just that, if I recall correctly,
Yep.
with the preacher and stuff. Pretty
So
interesting
yeah, so we
stuff.
would record like oddball tape loops and things. So it's nice to go back to that now because there are no rules. So I still love pop music because I grew up on
Yeah.
Beatles, you know, Beatles
Yeah, sure. The
and
Beatles
stuff
got to
like
be the
that.
most influential band ever, whether you
That's
like them or
right.
not. Yeah, no
Whether you like
question
them or
about it.
not, that's the funny part.
Yeah, I love when I hear people say, "I don't like the Beatles." I don't really. I mean, you know that you do realize they're the most influential band ever.
Ever.
I just ever,
So many
So
without a
different
doubt.
styles there with them as well. So
yeah. So
Yeah,
so definitely I think that we're closer now to the original idea, which was anything goes. You know, that's really
gotcha.
what it meant. And on one side of it, it's what it means. You know, so yeah, I tend to mix it up quite a bit. So
It's Andre here at the world famous LIR.com. We're joined by Claude of Anything Box along with Mike. They're going to be coming to Long Island on June 3rd at the Avenue. Cannot wait for this. This is over in West Hempstead. Make sure you get those tickets. Now, I just want to quickly mention the fact that I got to learn about this great song and this great sound of music from then 92.7 WDRE. So I just want to give a quick shout out to the people that were involved with that radio station back then, like Dennis McNamara, the program director, like
oh yeah,
Malibu Sue, Larry the Duck, Mighty Maximizer, Donna, all of them, everybody, because they are the reason why I'm still doing this today. I'll be honest with you. This is just part of my fabric and what I love to do. And the people that I've met along the way that like this music that we can definitely relate to, we just like one big secondary happy family when it comes to this stuff. And we
absolutely,
all,
man.
yeah, we all still support the shows and the sound, and we love it. And Living in Oblivion, I mean, it's an iconic song and it's timeless, and it goes up there with any of the big new wave records. I put it right up there, top 10, you know?
Thank you so much for
Amazing,
that.
amazing. And it's not just about that one song with you guys. You have a great sound. I mean, I love the second, I think was the second single after Living in Oblivion, Jubilation, This Thing Called Life. Was that the next one?
Yeah, it was.
It was. And I thought that was an incredible song as well. I mean, so your sound, it broke through at this radio station in this market. And I'm so glad that you guys are continuing to do your thing. And
When
we'll
I
get
hear
to see
you
you
mention
guys
all
on
those
June
people,
3rd.
like Larry the Duck, Malibu
Yeah.
Sue, Donna,
Yeah.
you know, it just, like I said, it brings back these weird memories for me because
That's great.
you have to understand it was almost like I was plotting a takeover, and it's like, okay, that station, this particular station's out of the question. Don't like the DJs. No, no way. So it was like this idea, like, this is where I fit in. I love listening to these people. I do it 24/7. I must be on the station. Like that was
Yeah.
my goal. I remember like when I was signed to Sony,
That's right, Sony.
you know, you have those meetings that they have, you know, the what they call the pop, you know, the impact meetings. I don't know if you know what that is, but
I was an intern. I interned at Arista Records back in the early 90s. I have an idea. Yeah.
so you know what Impact Week is, right?
Sure.
So I remember just being in one of those meetings and saying, I don't care what radio stations you guys are going to send it to. Like I honestly don't care. Like
Right.
send it to anyone who will play it. I don't care, you know, but absolutely the first station that must have this record is this one. And they all looked at me like, why that one? Because remember, they're in Los Angeles. So they were like,
Sure.
what about K Rock? And I was like, I like K Rock, but I really, really like this station. I love this
Yeah.
station. And that's the one that's got to get it first.
Yeah. Which was
So
WDRE 92.7
yeah,
back
that
then,
was
that time.
DRE at the time. So I was like stoked that they at
Yeah.
least
Like,
listened to me for that.
Have you ever played on Long Island? Actually performed on Long Island at any of our clubs, Malibu
Oh
or
my
any of
God.
those?
You know, 007
You
was the
did
club.
007.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did 007, but that was what, 92. So you're
Wow.
talking a
Okay.
long time ago. So
Gotcha.
I'm overdue.
All right. So
Yeah, I mean,
before we end the interview, we're going to play a bunch of songs here on the world famous LIR.com. We'll play your new track called Dead Stars. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I was basically returned to form. It was like I want to go back to writing um not pop centric things, but I wanted to be dance floor friendly. I wanted to, have a certain feel.
Right.
And I wasn't intending to do this. It just happened. It was like one of those things where I was like, I would love that to happen. And this song came out, and it was one of those things where I was like, I was reminiscing about basically all the black and white films that we see, and everybody's dead.
That's a great
Like
point.
everybody that we watch is dead.
Yes, I remember reading this. Yeah, you were saying that. Wow, incredible.
So especially I love all the 1960s mod films and all that stuff, but I realized most of these people are dead.
Yeah, they're gone.
And so
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
like
so yeah, how do
only
you
Trixie, only
yeah,
Trixie is left from the honeymooners.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
God
how do you
bless.
eke out your existence like in this world? Like how do you do it,
Right,
And so like
right.
making a record is like one way,
Now,
definitely
is
one way.
would you? What do you listen to today? Are you into like today's electronic music, like the trance, techno, electronica,
Um
chill, all that
Yeah,
stuff?
mostly chill stuff.
I like
Like on
chill
the
too.
electronic side, I'm
Yeah,
really, really into like people like Boards of Canada, um, you know, Tricky, like a bunch of that stuff. I'm really into
yeah.
it. Of course, Radiohead. I love Radiohead.
How about stuff
Um,
like Rufus Du Sol, or how about I don't know, Nora and Pure, those type of people? Maybe some of the DJs that are out there still doing their thing.
kinda.
Yeah,
I tend to be floating around in these uh weird ambient electronic circles. Like so
yeah.
that's where I'm finding myself more or less
Gotcha,
these days. But again, I don't predict where the songs are gonna go. So it's
gotcha.
just I just do what I can. And then from there, it's
Yeah,
about shows and getting people out to shows, which is, my favorite thing. So
I got you. So we're gonna listen to Dead Stars, your new single, and then we're gonna play Living in Oblivion, and I'm gonna squeeze in there Jubilation, a thing called Life. And you are going to be playing all these songs on Friday, or I should say Saturday, June 3rd,
absolutely.
at G's at the Avenue. You will be.
Yep.
Okay,
On the
great.
set, man. They have to
Shout out
be.
to my good friend DJ Caesar, who I know you keep in contact with a lot. He's a great guy and such an amazing fan of this music, and he's just all about the music, Caesar. And my cousin Rob
Awesome.
Crush will be there as well, and I'll be there hosting. By the way, I don't know if you know that I'll be down there
So awesome, man.
at your
I
party,
can't wait to see you.
I
bro.
mean,
It's gonna be big. We are really excited about Anything Box coming back to Long Island. I cannot wait to hear those beautiful synth riffs and your voice
Thank
over
you.
those great songs. I really
Thank you
can't.
so much.
Yeah, it's gonna be big. Thank you, Claude from
also,
Anything Box and Mike.
Andre,
Yes,
let
what do
me
you
add
got?
one thing. Let me add one
Sure.
thing here. Um, we will have the Dead Stars EPs, vinyl, and CDs as well at the show. And the first two people who email me at jerseywave@hotmail.com, I will have a copy of each for them, waiting for them at the show.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, there you
So,
go.
Jersey Wave.
At hotmail.com. Jersey
There you
Wave
go.
is my record label that we
Put Dead
worked on
Stars on, yeah.
together to push this out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Lord, cannot wait. I can't even tell you. I'm really excited. And the fans are too. The people that love LIR and that love the electronic side of LIR. Because we have many different sounds with LIR. You can like more of the industrial or maybe like some of the punk stuff or whatever. But this sound was always the sound that I was drawn to. Synth pop, keyboards, big fat, luscious synths, and great music and great vocals. And that's what you guys are all about.
You'll see both that night. I guarantee you're going to see the punky side of Anything Box too.
All right, we like that too. We like a little edge.
Yeah.
Thank you, Claude. Thank you,
All
Mike.
right.
We'll see you
Hey,
on
take care,
June
Andre.
3rd.
We'll see you.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
brother. WorldFamousLIR.com. Check it out.
Yeah. that was it. It was a fun interview, and so yeah, I wound up doing some IDs for LAR and all that stuff, which it's awesome. It's part of the job, obviously. But it was fun, and it got me all jazzed up because obviously I have to get ready for that show. So yeah, so rehearsals next week, and I'm reiterating that probably next week there will not be, not probably, more than likely there will not be a stream next week because I will be flying into New York and all that stuff. And we'll catch up. We'll figure out how what happens next after that. So anyway, I thought I'd play that for you because it was fun. Um, so uh, you know, it's funny because I I'm listening to myself on that interview, and I think, wow, you really think about that mortality thing, don't you? But it's a funny thing. It's funny. But so yeah, it was a fun, decent time, and obviously the memories of that station are staying with me. So anyway, let's move on now, and because I think we got less than we're at that half hour mark. I timed it just right. I think we may make it. So I'm gonna pick up the pace only to make it slow down again. But so this one is in two parts. So I wanted to do something where, well, people kept asking, why don't I use hardware? So I get this question a lot. Why don't you use hardware? Um, or modular? Because I'll speak about modular systems and processing, and then people will say, well, why don't you use modulars? And you've probably heard the answer, but if you haven't, here's the short version of that answer. I love modular as an idea, meaning I love the idea of patching things in that will elicit certain things. And I love building my own synths. I do. I love doing it. The problem is I'm also very ADHD, which means I'm very impatient. So I can't wait for modular parts to arrive from different parts of the world, put something together, and then realize it's not going to do what I want. And then, on top of this, that I can't save patches, that I can't save something that I've worked so hard to do unless I write everything down. And even if you do, you're not going to get it exactly the same. Now, I'm aware that this is how modular works, but I'm not satisfied with that answer. So what I've done is many, many moons ago, I got into a program called Reactor. And Reactor allows me to build custom things or take existing things that are released by Reactor people and circuit bend them, make them my own. And so I have a bunch of sounds that only come from Reactor things. And it's my version of modular. So I wanted to demonstrate this on one of the streams, and I wound up doing this crazy long jam. So I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's really long. I edited it down and it's still long, but I'm going to play the edited version of it. And it's a much more industrial-ish side of me, but it starts off really soft because everything was played pretty much live until you get into the squirrely bits. Then it goes out off into like weird territory. But anyway, I'm going to play that one next. This one is called Social Listening, Part 1 and 2. And then I will come back and then we'll do some more talking before I play something from, like, a sneak peek of something from the new record and book. And here we go.
seen the little light shining from your screen tonight? Have you seen the little light shining from your screen tonight? It will record everything, much more things for you to sing today. It's all watching me. Have you seen the little light shining from your smart screen twice? It records most everything. There's so much to know it brings. Social listening. Have you seen the little light shining from your screen tonight? It records most everything, then sells it to social listening.
Yep. Probably one of the strangest things. The original, the original jam. If you find it, like I said, all of these are there somewhere in some. If you go looking through the YouTube archives of the, because there's so many of them now. We've done so many of these streams that I can't tell you where it came from, but I know it's from 2020 at some point, and I think we were under lockdowns. And I truly think that the original was really funny because it was like 15 minutes. It was 15 minutes long. So I cut it down, and it took me forever to cut it down, but I managed to cut it down to 7.6 something minutes. But somebody mentioned I would love to hear this at a show. So one of the things that I do not have, which is interesting since we're talking about this, and and Brian on YouTube, I got you. It's all good. I got you. Don't worry. I did not interpret you wrong. We were on the same page. But one of the things I noticed when I watched Information Society play in Mexico City, which I was kind of jealous of, was that, and The Cure did this too, by the way. They played long form instrumental jams where there would be a vocal, and then for like 4 or 5 minutes straight, there would be no singing at all. In A-Box shows or A-Box, the arrangements, the vocal usually comes in pretty quick. There's only a few songs that have, longer than an 8-bar intro. In most cases, it starts right off. So for me to get a break, I really have to work for that break. So I resorted to obviously talking more or taking a drink or doing something because I know I'm going to have to sing again. So this was one of those things where I was like, oh, maybe I could do a song like this and do a complete weird jam. And so I don't have to sing for like 4 minutes. And then when I come back or the verse comes back, I get away with it, So that's one thing that I had thought about. So at least this one survived long enough that I think I'm going to go back to it, and who knows, maybe I will record it. So, you know, so anyway, so that's that one. So yeah. So if you joined us on this particular episode, number 18, which, I'm going to show right here. No, of course not, because it's not ready to show anything. That one. Episode 18. So if you're just joining us, it's almost over and you missed out, but I will post it at some point, and probably tomorrow, and you'll get to see the whole thing and wonder where the hell all the hits are and all the things that, I should be listening to, but you don't, But anyway, I'm going to play a song because we're going to just rifle through it so that it's mostly music, not more, less talk tonight. But so this one is a really odd one. This one is basically Carmen, but it's Carmen, but not the way you think I would do it. It's a very strange version of Carmen. And what happened was same sort of thing. I was playing around with a modular patch I'd made, and I noticed a repeating pattern. And I love when there's certain patterns in a sound that repeat. And I thought, well, I think I'll see where this goes. And I wound up doing this really strange, slowed down version of Carmen. And with literally nothing but noise. And it's really odd. And I started a show off with it, or I don't like calling them shows because this is not really a show, but you know what I mean. It's an episode. I started an episode of the stream with this particular version of Carmen, and at first people were like, "What the hell?" But then I started to get emails saying, "Are you going to release that? I really like that." And so this went on my radar, and so I'm going to play that one next. Back to Moon overhead this time, which may or may not spin, or it may at some point spin. We'll see. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There we go. Carmen, the glitch version. Oh, it might be in Spanish too.
¿Qué voy a hacer si no sentir esas noches junto a ti y los recuerdos de mi gran amor? Carmen se fue, es difícil entender. He perdido fe en la realidad. Ella sufría su vida en dolor, las sombras de su mundo lleno de ilusión. Ella se fue y nunca sin saber que no dejó de amarla. Quisiera ver el camino que siguió. Si piensa en el pasado y ha encontrado amor. Quisiera ver el camino que siguió. Si piensa en el pasado y ha encontrado amor, el amor, el amor. El turno de ustedes. Carmen, las voces lloran. Carmen, mi alma se va. Carmen, mi alma se va. Carmen, las voces lloran.
I told you the zombies get me at the end. So funny. So yeah, that's how that happened. So that's the kind of thing that would happen or can still happen because these are things that happen on an occasion where I'll have a sound and I'm like, for whatever reason, an old song will pop out of it instead of something new. So anyway, but yes. Carmen, atonal slash noise version, which is kind of funny. But as I promised, though, we're going to end this thing off with an old song done as new, which is going to be on the new record. This is a rough mix, but I'm quite happy with it so far. And after New York, because I won't get back to this next week. Next week is all about rehearsals and getting ready for New York and beyond. But when I come back, I'm going to work on the final master of the new record and then start laying out its book because it's something I need to do. That's next on my agenda. But this song goes all the way back to basically 1986. And it's been in the A-Box set on and off since then, but we never properly recorded it. We have a live version that we do, and we have the demo version, which I've played on the stream, but we do not or had not had a recorded version of the song for whatever reason. And it was a popular one, which is really funny because this particular song at one point was the first song that we ever got on a radio station. And it was on a college station. Although, no, I'm not telling the full truth here. We almost got it played on a very popular rock station in New York City. So, anyway, that's how we're ending things tonight. Maybe a tad early, but I got everything in, which is good. I get to, after this, probably go back to getting ready for New York because it's coming. It's coming around the corner and it seems like it's a week away, but it's not really a week away. In my head, it's literally in 6 hours I have to be on stage. That's how it feels to me right now. Wait, sorry. Everything scrolls so fast that if I missed a question, it was not on purpose. I missed I can see I missed like an entire conversation. We will have to pick it up on the next one. But at any rate, thank you for joining me. I will be discussing my strange human effects hash project because it's not going to be AI based. And I'm actually going to not do it by coding. I'm going to do it by hand. So it's going to be really strange, but I'm going to do it. Whether it sells or not, I'm going to do it because that's how I roll now. I don't care. But I'm going to do that. And this song, like I said, is the last of the evening. It's Heaven, which has been in our set and could wind up on our set quite soon because obviously this is one of those songs that I like playing live, but we've never had a recording of it. So anyway, with that, I will go back to visuals and I will set the song up. And after this, I will bid you all good night.
Is a lonely place in time. Heaven, I've got nowhere to hide.
And with that, good night.
I'm part of it. Can't you see it?